Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Wiz. Good afternoon, teachers, and good afternoon to my fellow future teachers. So, today we will be discussing about cognitive development theory and Gestalt theory. So, this is prepared by Miss Martil Camberly and will be presented by yours truly, Pepe Monica. So, let's start with cognitive development. So, cognitive development was proposed by John William Fritz Piaget, or known as John Piaget. So he is a Swiss psychologist known for his work on child development. So cognitive development theory looks at how children develop intellectually throughout the course of childhood. So cognitive development is the construction of thought processes, including remembering, problem solving, and decision making from childhood through adolescence to adulthood. So he envisioned a child's knowledge as composed of schemas. So schemas are basic units of knowledge used to organize past experiences and serve as a basis for understanding new ones. So what is cognitive development? So John Piaget's theory of cognitive development suggests that children move through 4 different stages of mental development. Take note, in Piaget's theory of cognitive development, there are 4 different stages of mental development that children go through. Piaget believed that children take an active role. Okay, take note, it is active role and not passive in the learning process. So acting much like little scientists as they perform experiments, make observations, and learn about the world. So in Piaget's cognitive development theory, these are the basic cognitive concepts. First, we have the schema, or our cognitive structures or mental frameworks. So these are categories of knowledge that help us to interpret and understand the world. So in Piaget's view, a schema includes both a category of knowledge and the processes of obtaining that knowledge. So as experiences happen, this new information is used to modify, add to, or change previously existing schema. Next, we have the assimilation. So assimilation is the fitting of new experiences into an existing schema. So assimilation occurs when we modify or change new information to fit into our schema, so what we already know. So it keeps the new information or experiences and adds to what already exists in our mind. So that is assimilation, the fitting of new experiences into an existing schema. Next one, we have the accommodation, or the creation of a new schema, creating a new schema. It is when we restructure our schemas. So then Piaget develops this to describe what occurs when new information or experiences cause you to modify your existing schema. So you change the schema in order to accommodate the new information. So that is accommodation. Next, we have the equilibration. So it is the proper balance. A cognitive equilibrium, a state of balance between individuals' mental schemata or frameworks and their environment. So such proper balance occurs when their expectations based on proper knowledge fit with the new knowledge. Lastly, we have the cognitive disequilibrium. Oh my goodness. So this is the discrepancy between what is perceived and what is understood. So it is a state of cognitive imbalance. So this happens when you come across a new information or experiences that do not fit into your current knowledge based on your proper knowledge. So that is the cognitive disequilibrium. So as what I'm saying, this is an example of assimilation. So when a child first sees a Dalmatian dog, the child will interpret this information based on his or her existing mental frameworks and will eventually label it doggy. While on accommodation, when the child saw a cow for the first time, she will then assimilate it to her schema of doggy as four-legged animal. So when the mother told her that it is a cow, she will then accommodate this new information and will refer to that animal as cow, not a doggy. So she will place that into another schema. So the child will learn that not all four-legged animal is called doggy. So that's it. So this is Piaget's periods of cognitive development, the 4 stages of cognitive development. So we have first the sensory motor stage. It is from birth to 2 years. So in sensory motor stage, it aims to achieve object permanence or learn object permanence. So object permanence is a child's ability to know that objects continue to exist even though they can no longer be seen or heard. So when an object is hidden from sight, infants or babies often become upset that the item has vanished. Sorry. So next one, we have the pre-operational from 2 to 6 years old. So in pre-operational stage, this aims to achieve symbolic thought. So symbolic thought is the capacity to use mental representation. So this can be images of objects or actions held in our mind or language where words represent our thoughts and ideas. So it is more on imagination or the experience of child upon growing. Third stage, we have the concrete operational stage from 7 to 11 years old. So in this stage, it aims to achieve logical thought. So logical thought is the ability to understand and to incorporate the rules of basic logical inference in everyday activities such as conservation, numbers, ideas, and classifications. So lastly, the fourth stage is the formal operational stage from 12 years up to adulthood. So in this stage, this aims to achieve scientific reasoning. So the thinking in terms of abstractions or symbols, being able to think about many variables or dimensions at the same time. So being able to think in terms of probabilities and proportions. Also with ethics, politics, social, and moral issues are being explored. So learners here are thinking abstractly and hypothetically. So that's it. So these are the important things to remember in every stages. First, the sensory motor stage is from birth to 2 years, and the audience here are infants. So this aims to learn and achieve object permanence. Also, it uses senses and motor skills in interacting with their environment. So next, we have the pre-operational stage. It's from 3 to 7 years old, and the audience here are the preschoolers. So take note, pre-operational is for preschoolers. And we have 5 sub-stages in pre-operational. First, we have the egocentrism. So egocentrism is the inability. So it is the inability to understand that another person's view or opinion may not be different from their own. So preschoolers here can't understand others' point of view and is self-centered. Very famous is the I manner. Sorry. Next, we have the centration. Centration, it is when a child will become completely fixed on one point, not allowing them to see the wider or the bigger picture. So they only focus on one aspect. So they are disregarding the wider picture. Just like what the picture says. So that's it. When there are 2 equal water in 2 equal beakers, one is being transferred to a taller and narrower one, and then the child will understand or perceive it as the one that is taller has the greater amount of water while the other one is not. So they will be no equal in the measurement of water, since the containers are altered. Okay, so that's it. So we have also the symbolic function. So it is the cognitive ability to mentally represent objects that are not in sight. So objects stands for something else. So mentally represent objects that are not in sight. Children master the ability to picture, remember, understand, and replicate objects in their minds that are not immediately in front of them. So take note, symbolic function, the audience here is, yes, the elementary students. So symbolic function, object stands for something else. They are able to replicate objects. Okay, so just like the picture says that an elementary girl or a girl is rocking or feeding her doll. So lastly, we have, fourth to the last, we have the irreversibility. So irreversibility, it is when a child does not understand that an action can go both ways, or when they falsely believe that actions cannot be reversed or undone. So it is the child's difficulty mentally reversing a sequence of events. For example, a child displaying irreversibility says that 2 times 4 is not equal to 4 times 2. So it cannot do it both ways. So they don't understand that 2 times 4 is equals to 8, but 4 times 2 is equal to 8 also. They don't understand that thing yet. So a child falsely believes that actions cannot be reversed or undone. So lastly, we have the animism. So animism, this is when the learners or children tend to believe that inanimate objects such as toys and teddy bears have human feelings and intentions. So with this, the child believes that the world of nature is alive, conscious, and has a purpose. So objects have feelings. Childs believe that animals are capable of actions and have like qualities. So this is from animism. Like animism, life-like qualities, just like what is shown in the picture. So okay, so we are now on the third stage of Piaget's concrete operational stage. So first we have conservation. Okay, so it has 3 sub-stages. First is the conservation, the awareness that a quantity remains the same despite a change in its appearance. So conservation, the same quantity, so something stays the same in quantity even though its appearance changes. So it is simply the understanding that being able to conserve means knowing that a quantity doesn't change if it's been altered. So by being stretched, cut, elongated, spread out, shrunk, or poured. So always remember, when we say conservation, stays the same in terms of their quantity even though its appearance changes. So just like what the example says. So even if you alter the containers, okay, still the amount of water that is being poured to another container is still the same. So nothing changes. Okay, next we have the classification, the sorting of objects. So to group specific objects based on color, shape, size, amount, and or similarity. So it is the ability to identify the properties of categories, to relate categories or classes to one another, and to use categorical information to solve problems. So the ability to simultaneously sort things into where it belongs. So just like the example, you were the child were able to group the animals and group the fruits. So that's it. So classification, sorting objects. So grouping of objects. So that's it. Next we have seriation, the arrangement of items. So seriation series, the arrangement of items. So put things in order based on quantity or magnitude. So this involves the ability to mentally arrange items along a quantifiable dimension, such as height or weight, like arranging from smallest to biggest, just like the example, from biggest to smallest. Okay, so remember, seriation series, arrangement of items from smallest to biggest. Okay, last one, we have decentration. So, multiple aspects, able to concentrate on many aspects of situation at the same time. So, the opposite of centration is decentration. So, it is the ability to pay attention to multiple attributes of an object or situation rather than being locked into attending to only a single attribute. So, decentration, the ability to consider multiple aspects or features of an situation or problem simultaneously. So, always remember, decentration, many aspects or multiple aspects. Remember that one. Decentration is to multiple aspects. Okay, so we are now on formal operational stage from 12 to 15 years old or adulthood. And remember that the audience here are high schoolers. Okay, so a child develops thinking skills in all logical combinations and learns to think with abstract concepts. Okay, so we have here logical abstract reasoning, hypothetical, and analogical. So in logical abstract reasoning, you develop the ability to understand concepts that are not directly tied to physical objects or experiences. While on hypothetical, Piaget stated that hypothetical deductive reasoning becomes important during the formal operational stage. And analogical, the ability to make connections between concepts, is an important element of children's cognitive development. Analogical reasoning allows us to make the inferences about new experiences, transfer learning across domains, and identify relevant information in a comparison. Okay, to sum up everything, here's our video of summary.
Good morning, teacher cadets. Today we will learn about Piaget's theory of cognitive development. He was a psychologist and philosopher known for his work with children. His theory of cognitive development is called genetic epistemology, which can be identified by 4 different stages. The first stage is sensory motor stage, which extends from birth to age 2. Senses, motor abilities, and reflexes develop rapidly, which are demonstrated through motor activity through the use of symbols. Infants develop knowledge of the world through experiences and physical interaction. For example, if you take a toy away from the child, the reaction will be sadness. Physical development allows the child to develop intellectual and eventually symbolic abilities. From ages 2 through 7, children are in the pre-operational stage of cognitive development. Although they are not able to think logically, children are able to represent the world through symbols and mental images. All those symbols depend on each individual's own perception. Pre-operational children are entirely egocentric, in which they are only able to see objects and people around them from one point of view. The illogical manner of thinking is a key factor in pre-operational stage, along with the demonstration of intelligence through symbols, maturing of language, and development of memory and imagination. From age 7 to 11, children are in the concrete operational stage. In this stage of cognitive development, intelligence is demonstrated logical and systematic manipulation of symbols involving concrete objects. In this example, the child is able to quickly solve the problem by visualizing it. Children also develop operational thinking, in which mental actions are reversible and their egocentric thoughts vanish. From age 11 to 16, children in the formal operational stage are able to think about the future instead of being limited to the present. They have the ability to use flexible, systematic, and rational thoughts and apply them to abstract and hypothetical concepts. The individual is able to determine a variety of ways to solve a problem and view a problem from several points of view. The adolescent develops an inner sense of value and moral judgment. In this stage, individuals now have the necessary mental tools to continue living his or her life. Created using Hubdoom.
So that is the summary of cognitive development by John Piaget. So now my partner, my co-presenter, will now take over for our rationalization.